Hello, hello, people. Happy Sunday. Welcome to this forum, the Relationship Forum. We're usually here every Sunday with a different topic. My name is Betty Small. My page is Learn and Grow with Betty Small, and we have here Tola with us today.
Yeah, hi everybody. Yeah, my name is Tola, and my page is Tola's Nest on Facebook. And Nancy is here with us. Great. Finally. Hello, hello.
Welcome.
For a second, I thought you weren't going to be able to make it. Thank God.
I don't know. I had to try it on 3 different devices. I don't know what's happening, but it worked. Or finally on an old phone I found somewhere and it's working on it. So let's see.
Interesting. Hi.
Okay.
Great to see you again. It's been a while.
Nice to also see you again.
Welcome.
Hello, Betty, and hello, Tola. Sorry for being late.
Hi. It's okay.
You're welcome. We're glad you made it.
Exactly. That's what matters.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I think you have to reintroduce yourself, Nancy, your page.
Yeah. So hello, hi. My name is Nancy. You can call me just as Nancy. You can find me on Facebook. I talk about life abroad, families, traveling abroad, and studying abroad, and raising kids as well. Yeah.
So, today's topic is, should couples have a conversation before marriage about their individual expectations concerning sex? Who would like to start that off?
Betty.
Absolutely. I'll take it head on. Yes, I do believe as much as people who are getting married think like they know each other, that's one of the subjects that most people are not so comfortable talking about. Even though, you find that they're so ready to go say I do, but that's one subject that is not the easiest to discuss. And that's because the shields have still not come off, and people are not as transparent as we may think they are at that point. So I absolutely think it's important to have that conversation. Uh, you know, it's not one of those like you're just gonna cut and get through to every answer, but it's like an onion. So you peel slowly as you get to know the person. As days go by, you get to know something about them. What are their preferences? What do they like? What don't they like? What is a no-go zone? What is a deal breaker? Stuff like that. So to me, yes, it's absolutely important. It's not something that you're going to discuss once and exhaust, but people should be open enough to have those discussions and know that it's not a one oh peel the layers as you go, as you get comfortable with each other. Yeah.
Okay, well, yeah, I agree, but there's a part where you said I think the discussion there are some certain aspects of it that can actually be one-off. And those one-off conversations are the ones that I think, especially when it relates to sex, I think that the ones that really matter. Now, for example, different people, two different people entirely, different backgrounds, different things they've done with their lives, individually. Now, on one hand, we could have one of the two who would have had a wild journey, in sex. And then we have the other party who probably was the opposite. Now, I think the certain things that they need to discuss, one of, and they need to understand each other at that point is, for example, duration of the sessions for sex, of course. Duration, process, and basically duration and process. Because for me, the topic is more what happens physically. Because I mean, when we talk about sex, we might probably, dance around it. But I actually want us to actually hit it like dead on. Nancy, what do you think?
About, first of all, are we talking about whether they should talk about it? I think we all agree that they should talk about it, right?
Yeah,
Definitely. I mean, in the postmodern world, in the world of Tinders and Bumbles and all of these things, before people are getting married, I presume they would probably have had sex, unless we're talking in the Christian context or in any other context. So I want us to first define what kind of couples are we talking about? Because currently, not only are people having sex, they are living together, they are doing all of these things before they actually even end up getting married. And my thing is, sometimes when they are still very in love with each other and everything else, people do tend to forget certain things, not just sex, talking about finances, talking about so many things. People just overlook all of those things, because when you first meet somebody, the feeling is quite different, and talking about sex is very important, not just before they get married. I think even after they've gotten married and situations have changed, talking about sex is something you can bring up all the time, because when you've had kids and all of that, you can talk about sex before marriage and say, you know what, you're going to do it 3 times every day before, sunrise. But when you have jobs and kids and all of these things, all these nice rosy plans will go somewhere else, So I think it's something that it's a continuous conversation that people need to have throughout their marriage, because needs will change throughout the marriage and expectations will change too. So yeah, that is what I think about that side.
Okay. Now, one of the reasons why this topic came to mind was I recently saw something, and it was about a lady complaining that the husband his sexual drive is very high, and that she finds it completely difficult to match up. And she was asking, what should she do? Now, it was from that point. Now, with what you said, I understand what you said, that expectations change and your mode of life changes, before marriage, during, and, also maybe after kids. And then, of course, work and all of that. Now, in that scenario, what would you advise exactly? What would you think she ought to do? Because, again, they could have probably had a discussion about it. And maybe they didn't, But I believe that if they did earlier, then she would have known, the partner's sexual, his sexual
needs and
needs, exactly, needs. Now, do you think that situation? Do you think they probably had one or they didn't? And if they did, I mean, it just confusing, because at that point, I'm not so sure what could be done.
I feel like maybe he had a very high sex drive whilst they were dating, but he probably did not let her know how much of sex he needs on a day-to-day basis, because probably, if you have a very high sex drive, you probably will notice that you have a very high sex drive. And, sex is something that's a taboo in our society. So you'll be kind of ashamed or scared that people are going to, or that you will scare somebody away if you show them your full self. We all do that when we are dating other people. We don't show them our full selves. It's not just about high sex drive. Somebody might have a gambling problem and then they'll hide it from you. Or you can be with a lady who has a spending problem. She spends very loosely and doesn't check and everything else. So I think even if they had the conversation, he was not really honest with her. Even if you have a conversation with somebody with a very high sex drive. But then again, we also have to know that, for most of us women, your sex drive, it really doesn't peak until you are 30 or 35. That's what the scientists say. So at some point, she's probably going to be needing more and he's going to be having less,
Yes.
Yes. And the point is, You know, we are here to complement each other. There
Yeah.
are several ways to have sex. I mean, it doesn't always need to be, you know, you can't divorce your husband because he has a very high sex drive. There are real problems in marriage, and this shouldn't be one of them, you know. Yeah, I don't know. Betty, what do you think?
I agree with what you're saying. The only other thing I want to throw in there is the fact that, especially, I don't know if that couple, they were having sex before they got married. And so maybe, they didn't have any responsibilities. There were no kids. She was probably able to meet his demands. Okay.
Mm.
Then here they are
Mhm.
now. They're married. They're working. There are kids that are popped in, and there are sometimes relatives that are living there. And so things are going to have to work differently because now you have responsibilities and you're not able to meet the demands like you did. So it's possible that she was meeting the needs before they actually got married or before they actually had kids. But now that responsibilities have increased, she's not able to. And so now she's looking at it like, oh, he's asking for more than I can offer, while maybe she was actually offering that before.
Wow, that's an excellent point, Betty.
Mhm.
It's probably because if they have kids, the man is probably doing too little at home, so he's not tired at night. That she should try to delegate more of the children's responsibilities to him. He
Exactly.
will be tired at night. No, real talk, you know, because children do tend to overwhelm
They
mothers.
do.
Yeah.
They
And
do.
at the end of the day, you will not be, you know, sometimes you have spit all over you and everything. You're not feeling so sexy. You just want to
No.
lie like somewhere
Yep.
and take a nap or something, you know. And if he has too little to do at home, he's always, you know, in a good mood, you know.
Yep.
Also, it happens a lot when, yeah, I mean, I can attest that I have gone through a phase where I was like, everybody just leave me alone, please, you know. Because I had so much to do, and also I was like home the whole day with the baby, you know. So when you come home at night, I am thinking, okay, when you come home, my shift is over and your shift is starting. I am not thinking that, oh, when you come home, now I have to do overtime. And now, you know, that was not what I was. The whole day I'm waiting for you to come so you come take this baby, you know. I love it very much, but take it for a little bit, you know. I think maybe sometimes that is where it looks like men have higher sex drive
Mhm.
than, you know, women, you
Yeah,
know.
because honestly,
Excellent point.
let's be honest. Once you wake up, especially when the kids are little, you wake up, you're cleaning, you're cooking, you're changing poop, you're doing laundry, you're sweeping, you're mopping, you're trying to cook dinner, all these things, trying to attend to everybody. Okay. Don't get me wrong, the guy will probably go to work. Yes, they're working. They'll come back and they still want you to, you know, cater to them. The woman has nothing left. By the time it's bedtime, they're exhausted. So the
Mhm.
guy is probably going to maintain their high sex drive because that's what they are used to. But the woman can't keep up. You can't
Yeah.
keep up. Yeah. So maybe the expectations that they had prior to marriage, and maybe she was meeting those needs then, but now with the extra responsibilities, yeah, it's impossible.
Okay. Tell you what. Now, what if the tables were turned? What if, like the scenario we've just painted, well, where the woman probably at home, the kids, a lot of stress and all that, and then the husband from work. What if the tables were turned and it's the lady that has the extremely high sex drive? What happens?
It's all about adjusting the expectations because as much as you want it, the other person is not physically and emotionally able to provide. So you're just gonna have to adjust your expectations, like bring it down, like all the way down. That's how I look at it because otherwise it's gonna create an extra, or it's gonna create more issues in your marriage, because if you keep your expectations up here and the person can't meet them, you're setting yourself up for failure every single time. And every single time you're gonna keep getting mad, keep getting upset, angry, resentful, and that is definitely leading your marriage down, what road do we call it? Down the divorce road. And you don't want that. So Adjust your expectations, just bring them all the way down. If he's able or she's able to do more than what you, not even more than what you wanted or expected, just put your expectations down there. If they are able to do a few more things, you're like, oh, okay, good, but bring your expectations all the way down. That's my advice. Otherwise, you're setting yourself up for disappointment every time.
But then
Yeah.
again, Nancy.
Yeah, I mean, that is quite a very real scenario. I don't know how it is in the States, but it's a very real scenario here where we have men who work longer hours than women or work more than women, and the women sometimes also stay home. And the men are actually very tired at the end of the day and they cannot perform. And these women sometimes, it becomes a big issue in the marriage and they end up like, blasting the man sometimes even on social media platforms like this about his lack of performance and whatnot, and sometimes the man thinks like, okay, it's probably the woman and he wants to try. It happens. The thing is, just like Betty has said, the main thing is you have to be both committed to satisfying each other's need. That is one thing. You have to also understand when somebody is incapable, to understand that the person is incapable, not because the person is mean or anything like that, or trying to like deprive you. You see, once you have this idea that, oh, he's trying to deprive me because he has somebody else, or she's trying to, then you have resentment in your heart towards the other person.
Yeah.
But once but once you know, okay, my partner cannot do this for me right now, how can I maybe lower my expectation of it? Because I don't know if we are talking about morning sessions of an hour or so, but you can like have quick sessions in the morning and have longer sessions in the evening or something, because I don't know if two people are, how high can your sex drive be if you have to go to work and you have to be there at 8? I mean, you yourself, you're afraid of being late, so you have to, and then apart from that, she has to go too. So are we talking like early morning session, 2 hours in the morning, kind of high sex drive, or in the evening, the whole night, or what? I mean, I don't know if people are really doing that, because, well, maybe it does exist, but since we are not teenagers, I don't know, really. No, who in their 30s is, no, there's too much responsibilities. No.
But do you think? But do you think there's a certain level of sexual drive that is insane?
There is.
Absolutely, yes.
There is. There are some. For me, when you talk about high sex drive, my mind goes straight to men who cheat. It's not their sex drive that is really high. It's just a lack of self-control that they have, because that is my thing, and they want to sleep with so many different women and all the time, all they think about is like sex, and it ends up ruining families, ruining careers. If you don't have this amount of self-control, it will end up ruining everything that you've built, in your life. There are men with really, really high sex drive, and when this in the morning, they need it in the morning, evening, afternoon, all the time.
Yeah, and that's why we are saying, like, how, okay, are people having these conversations in the first place? And secondly, how productive are these conversations later in the marriage? Are people adhering to the things that they talked about, like, okay, we're going to have sex in the morning before we go to work, and, at least in the evening before we go to sleep. If that's the kind of setup that they agreed to, is it something that they're still able to keep up with after 2-3 kids? And that's why we're saying, like, these are regular conversations that we need to keep having, and people need to be honest. Women need to speak up, men need to speak up when things are not working, even if it's something that you wrote down on paper and put a covenant or whatever. If it's not working and you're starting to feel angry and resentful, tired, some people actually really end up in the hospital because of exhaustion.
Yeah.
They're overworking, and because they're trying to please the spouse, they're trying to please everybody else, they have nothing left in them. They are completely exhausted. And some people actually I've seen a person who was admitted because of complete exhaustion, drained completely because of all the responsibilities at home. Not that they were sick, but they were completely exhausted. And it comes to find out it's because of all these responsibilities that they have. And she had actually come from Africa, that lady. And she was trying to pound yam and do everything like we do it in Africa, to be a good wife. And the fact that she hadn't started working yet, she was at home and just overdoing everything, trying to be the wife that I guess she had purpose to be. But no, it's not worth it at the end of the day. We just need to have these conversations over and over and be real and be honest if we are truly going to stick in these marriages.
Yeah, true. Yeah, the comment, like really, like we all agreed on, the conversation really needs to be had. There's also situations where either one of the one out of the two couples probably had an abusive childhood, and sometimes it plays also negatively, because I would assume that if by some chance there wasn't intercourse between both of them before they got married, and like typically probably even on the night of their wedding, that's meant to be consummated by sex, and then she just freaks out, or he just freaks out still, because men also get abused. So
Yeah.
and then they just and again, what going forward, what would you suggest for such a situation? Because at that point, it is clear that the trauma is real. It's there. And the individual has not been able to surmount it. Probably never even had sex until that point, or maybe even had, but there were no emotions, because also sometimes when you're abused, but when people are abused, they now tend to keep having that sort of activity without any thought to it, but when it now actually gets to the point where it does matter, where there has to be emotions, where there's love in it, where there's marriage in it, they could easily just freak out, because at that point in time, like, they probably have to either pay more attention, or it's just real at that point in time. What would you say to that?
Well, when it comes to abuse, when people are severely abused, they tend to do two things, or one of two things. It's either they tend to just close up and be like put off sex, or people become very promiscuous and start to abuse themselves. That is very real with with kids who are sexually abused, and that is why sometimes it's all the time, not sometimes, all the time, this conversation needs to be had. I feel like marriage is a very, very important, one of the most important ingredients in marriage is sex. Of course, we have other things like love and commitment and all of that. But sex, love, commitment, these are things you can do with your friends. But sex is one of the main ingredients that make a marriage, work. Like, it's showing each other this kind of bodily affection. For me, I also believe it's kind of like a spiritual and emotional connection to have, because this is something you cannot do with anybody else in the world. It's something you can only do with your spouse at that point. That is if you believe in monogamous marriages, not polygamous. And if you're going to do this, I think everybody needs to lay their cards on the table. If you have any trauma from your past, you need to lay it on the table. If you love somebody, it will be cruel for you to string them along to a point and then reveal this kind of thing to them. I feel that is cruel, because you cannot, if you cannot, be honest with somebody and you do this to them, where you come from probably a family that is very traditional like mine, where if you don't give us a legitimate reason, we are all not going to support you to divorce. What is wrong with you? You're not just, but it has to be something tangible, because for most Christian homes, they'll be like, yeah, this is not a reason to, but it is, it's important to maybe the woman or the man. And then now we are here and we're supposed to be in love forever and stay with each other through thick and thin, yes, but you have to let me know what the thick and the thin is that I am going to go through. Some of them we know already, and some of them we cannot foresee them. But once, like, if you have this thing where you have a phobia, or you close up when you attach, and all of, you have to let somebody that your better half know way before, way before you even decide to tell your parents you want to marry this person. This is something you should, between the two of you, before you bring other people in, engage the person and go on to marry the person.
Yeah.
If not, you're just putting somebody in prison, quasi. It's like a prison you're putting somebody in. I don't know.
Yeah. Yep, that's very true. You have to put that at the table at the very beginning. Just kind of like how I feel about the subject of women, maybe say who would get divorced early and they tie their tubes, and then later they decide they want to be married.
Mhm.
That's one of those things, like, you kind of like the sexual abuse. You have to put it at the table from the very beginning, especially if it's somebody that want to have a family, and be like, dude or lady, this is me. Can you take me as I am? So issues of sexual abuse, as much as you may be traumatized by it, if you're going to be with somebody else, that's not your personal issue anymore. This is more than just you. You have to be completely honest and transparent about that particular issue. If this is somebody now that you're comfortable with, and you're thinking like, okay, this is somebody that I possibly could spend my life with. Of course, you just don't want to be putting that information out there for everybody that you're dating. But once you realize, okay, this may, sounds like something serious, as soon as you realize that, bring that issue up, and then maybe this person can also help you work on, the struggles that you're having with, say, for example, the sexual abuse, or if it's tying to, I don't even know, how do people fix the tied tubes? Do you untie them? I don't know. But yeah, so put it out there, and this person can help you walk that journey. And some of them may be just like, that's not for me. I can't deal with that, which is good, as long as you guys haven't gotten so much deep into each other's life, or somebody, like you said, on their wedding night, and they're freezing, they can't take part, and the dude is like, why you didn't tell me this from the get-go? So yeah, that is, like Nancy said, it's so cruel. You don't want to do that. As much as it may feel like you're opening yourself up, you have to, at some point, if it's somebody you're considering to spend the future with them, you have to be transparent, completely open.
Because eventually it will still have to come up.
It will. Mm-hmm.
It will still have to come up.
Exactly. And the thing I wanted to add was, like, anything that is built on deception can't stay. Like, whether it's a friendship or a marriage,
it doesn't stand a chance.
At all. Okay. Yeah, she's frozen up.
I just wanted to take a minute and look at the comments over here.
The comments, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we have
whatever. You can't
yeah, okay, so for this one, Tolu says, these conversations need to be had with honesty on both parts. You need to know where you're both coming from so as to be able to manage expectations. Absolutely, Tolu. I completely agree with you, because most people tend to have issues in marriages because of personal things in their life that they didn't lay on the table. So have these conversations so that the other person can know how to manage whatever issues they are, or even if they want to partake in them. We were just reading the comments, Nancy, because you kind of froze there.
You froze up. Would you like to continue saying what you were saying? Because you froze up for a few seconds. Nancy, can you hear us?
I don't think so.
I don't think she can. Nancy.
She can't hear us either.
She can't hear us. Okay. Have we refresh? Okay, so she'll come back.
Yeah.
Can you read? Okay, now another question. Divorce rates are very high among Black couples. Not good.
Did you get
Statistically,
those statistics from where? Divorce.com?
I was wondering, this kind of platform is helpful for marriages. Thanks. Okay.
Then Amma says those men don't work or not doing work hard enough. Or the men that are asking that have a high sexual drive, I guess that's what she means. In Europe, the men are on the receiving end. Are they? Tell us more about that, Nancy.
Yeah, what do you mean
Well, you
exactly
know,
that you stated that?
well, it is true. It is true because these are some of the cases that I hear or comes to me is like, with no disrespect to anybody else, I mean, there are even studies on it, and we know that the educated selection of Africans do normally tend to go to the countries of their colonial masters or countries where the language of their colonial masters are spoken. So the better educated Ghanaians and Nigerians go to the UK, they go to America, they go to Canada, and so on, so that they can continue to work in higher positions there. And the other not so educated tend to end up in Italy, Holland, Belgium, and so on. And most of the time, what they do is that they are truck drivers and they drive long distances. And the work that they do here are mainly manual. I mean, German would say bone working, you know, like work that's you feel in your bones at the end of the day.
Mhm.
And the system here is designed that women are supposed to, you know, kind of like have it easy because the government gives you money to stay home, take care of the kids, especially when your child is under 3 years. You get money to stay home to take care of the kid. And then when the child is 3, then the child gets a free place to go to kindergarten, depending on the city that you live. The city that I lived in at that time when my kids were younger, kindergarten was free, childcare was completely free, and so on.
I like that.
most of the time, the women have it a little easier here than the men do, and most of the men do this bone breaking work, you know. So of course, here it's more like the men who are always being who are always being like, you know, nagged at for having a lower sex drive because they do tend to overwork themselves. And it's just not all the African men. Of course, there's now a new wave of for the last 10 years, a new wave of students coming in, so you can see them in higher positions, so they have a different experience from the older generation that came in the 80s and the 90s and so on. So it's like, you know, this new generation have it a bit better than the first one or the previous ones. Yeah.
So are we okay? So in the case of the sex drive, so I guess we can say for the women in Europe, then they should have a higher sex drive compared to the men. Because the men, by the time they get home, they're exhausted.
Yes. Yes. You know, I think they have a higher sex drive, and number 2, I think they have lots of time on their hand. Because I think like sex, and when I can speak for myself, sex is not something that just happens when your husband gets home. It's a whole day thing, you know. The mind has to be at a point where it's a whole day thing. I mean, I can speak for most women, I think so. For us, it's a whole day thing. I am relaxed, I'm in a good mood, you know. Then it's easier for me to just receive you when you come home and be ready for you and want to do everything that you ask me to do, you know, within reason, of course. But for men, I think it's different. I think for men, it's just exciting.
Different. It's more,
it's a small thing and then it clicks. So for men, I think it's easier. For men, when he comes home and you just walk by and your bum shakes a certain way, it can be game on, you know? Men are easy and very simple creatures, you know, but for us, we are very complicated. It's emotional. Because for me, if I come home, I need like an hour to decompress. What I have to tell my husband, everybody I hate at work, what they did, blah, 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 all the gossip. I have to decompress and take all of that out. Then we will start to talk about our day. Then he will tell, mine is always longer than his, you know. Then he will tell me about his, and then we take it from there. Then my mood will start getting better. But his is not like that. He is probably in the mood the minute I walk in. So and I need time, you know. I need time to get there, you know. And I think it's like that for most ladies, you know. We need time.
Yeah, I mean, what description did they use? They say the women are like the men are like microwave and women are like what? I can't remember. But it's the analogy that okay, it takes a while for women to pick up, you know, as compared to men. You just turn on a switch and they're ready to go.
Yep.
And so yeah, women have to be prepared. You can't just you can't, especially with all the responsibilities during the day. They're probably consumed with everything else that is going on. So if you want to have some, then you got to work towards bringing her mind close to that subject.
Yeah,
If you
set the mood.
set the mood, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not working hard towards that, then most likely it's not going to happen. And then
That
you're
is
going to
true.
say, oh, this woman is not considerate, you know, all that kind of stuff. I must say, Stola, you need to explain your laughter.
Which part of it exactly? Yeah, I mean, it's the truth. What I mean, whatever I laughed about, honestly, it's the truth. And she can also ask, you know, uncle at home too.
Men are easy, you know. Men are easy, you know. Men are easy. They're not as complicated as we are. Like I said, when I come home from work, I tell my husband,
Nancy,
he has to agree
Nancy,
with me, even
Nancy,
when I'm at
you're
fault, he has
making
to agree with me, you know.
Nancy,
For
you're
me
making
to
it sound
be the
like we're
right
cheap.
me.
You're making it sound like we're cheap. Now I'm really hurt for men.
I'm sorry.
It's the honest truth, though.
When I say easy, I mean easy in a good sense. Not like easy like they're cheap. I mean they're not so complicated, you know. Because for me, my mood can just be ruined if I'm telling my husband something about work and he tells me, but you are wrong. Then the mood is, why are you not supporting me? You know,
Crushed.
the minute
You just say yes, okay,
yes,
I agree. You don't set up that mood. That's all.
exactly. Then the
If
mood
you
is
have a
there.
difference of opinion, bring it later.
Exactly.
Amma says I'm cheap. Don't worry, I'm going to bring this up. I'm going to take this up with her personally, not here. Personally.
Yeah, and it is true. But it's true. I'm glad that Tola is agreeing that men are not as complicated to deal with as women are. You know,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Tola, there are more people asking you to explain, or they want you to.
No, this I'm not going to answer because it's actually my wife. She just looks for trouble.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm not answering that. No. She can't make me answer this. So I'm not answering. No.
Oh my God. Oh, but she knows it to be true too, you know. And for me, sometimes when couples come to me with their complaints, I can see myself in the lady. I can see that, sometimes it's easier for you to see how complicated another person and when it's not you, you know. Because when we talk, we are not reacting just based on the facts. For us women, it's based on feelings we have inside and so many things that we can't lay on the table, you know. And the man is also probably just arguing, or his point of view is just based on facts. And that's where sometimes it will feel like there's a miscommunication, misalignment, because one is arguing based on fact, the other one is arguing based on something that happened 3 years ago and blah, 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 not the issue at hand, you know. It happens like that sometimes. Okay.
Now, what do you think about telling each other what's pleasing sexually? What do you think about that? Do you think
that is very sensitive?
Yeah. Do you think it's something that should be said, you know, should be said, you know, should be vocal, or I don't know, or maybe try to engineer that part in the process of sex? What do you think? Do you think it should be said, or do you think it should just be engineered, or nudged towards what's pleasing?
Both.
I would say, yeah, it depends. I would say it depends. If it's not anything that is extreme, then of course it's very nice to find
What's
out
your
each other's.
What's your definition for extreme?
Have you met white people? I hope Mark Zuckerberg is not going to like block this channel.
Oh,
I hope we don't get banned, but extreme is we are like there are some things that are like extreme, you know. There are things that people do in the bedroom that are like really weird, you know. I'm a simple girl, a very simple creature. Until I moved to Europe, I had never seen what a sex shop looks like, and where they have like a gazillion amount of toys and straps and what, you know. So if you know you have some kind of fetish or anything that you know is going to freak the other person out, you have to be able to tell the other person. But if you're going to like if it's nice to discover each other's points, you know, like, oh, this is her pleasure point, or this is his pleasure point, he likes this, and it's nice to discover it and keep doing it, because then you feel good that you're giving another person pleasure. But if it's anything that's from an African girl's perspective, anything that involves like straps and chains and blah blah blah, you have to tell me. You have to let me know, because it's not in my natural setting. Like, you know, we are not we don't know. I don't know how it is in other countries, but I can speak of Ghanaians and Nigerians because I feel like we are like cousins, you know, we're just right next to each other. I've never seen one, maybe now they have it in Nigeria, but growing up, there's nothing like that. And all of this weird, we don't do that. We don't do that. We don't do that. So you might end up scaring somebody, especially those who have come to live here and they've copied some of these things from their new environment. If you're going to bring a lady from Ghana today and you know you've come here, you sometimes go to all of these sex clubs that they have here, swinger clubs, you know, you're into all of this extreme stuff, you know, you have to let the person know, because it will be scary. Like, you know, it will be really scary for a person. And you cannot force, it's a form of abuse if you force somebody, even if you're married to them, to do something that they are sexually not comfortable with, you know. You have to give the person the heads up.
Yeah, so on that subject, what I would like to add is the fact that for me, I said, Consola said, do you talk about it, or do you weave it into, you know, whatever is going on? Okay, I am of the belief that before you try anything, you need to talk to me about it. Okay, it's not good to surprise somebody. You know, it's okay to explore some things. I'm not talking about the crazy stuff. I don't do those, but I'm just giving my personal opinion here. Anything you want to explore within the boundaries that we've talked about, that's fine. But still, I need you to let me know, like, hey, can we explore this? Okay, not a surprise, like, you know, in the middle of New York, like, because you know, it can really throw you off. So yes, it's important to have these conversations. You can. Yama is like kinky stuff. It's okay to have these conversations prior to, and you can, you know, try out whatever within the boundaries of what you guys have talked about.
Honestly, I think we should ban Alma.
You might end up surprised if you try to surprise me too. Why am I surprised like that?
No, because, you know, as much as one would think you are very modernized and everything, you know, still inside of me is just a little girl from Ghana, you know. Exactly. So please don't take me too far from my original location. Yeah, I mean, it's not, it's nice for you to let me explore some things, but please not too far. It must always be close to home, you know.
Exactly.
Or I might,
Yep. I may refuse to board.
Exactly.
Don't take me out of Africa. The ancestors were enough.
So you would agree that there are some unacceptable forms, right?
Oh no, who
there
brought
she
her
is.
here?
It's
Yes.
like that.
She wants, yeah, the troublemaker. He's showing our face finally.
Professional troublemaker. Welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I mean, this conversation is very delicious, very nice. Tasty.
Yeah, I'm sure you find it so.
I have died here, Tola, listening to some of your confessions. And then I saw Tolu was on, and I'm like,
I
yes,
didn't,
come
I
on.
didn't confess to anything at all. No, I didn't confess to anything. You can't hold me to anything.
Don't forget that Tolu, the wife is somewhere.
Tolu is here. She says the surpriser might be surprised. That is what tends to happen. But you see, we are laughing about it, but it's a very important conversation. I've dealt with too many couples where a person withheld information because they wanted to guarantee a marriage. And then after the marriage, they're like, surprise.
Wow.
And then they have been surprised in the end because the other people are like, hell no. There are some things, everybody has boundaries, you know. You've got to let people know what you fancy so they can tell you where their boundaries are. I've always joked about it on the social media streets, but I'm not joking. I always think front, 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 front. Me, if you attempt any of the back stuff, you are in trouble. Understand? I always say to people, look, I don't actually have a problem with the back stuff. I can help you with the back stuff, just not my back.
So how are you going to help? Where's the help coming from then?
Tola, come on. You want the back stuff. I can help you. I mean, they are assistants. I can get
this is not about me, Amma. No.
I'm just assuming you are representing the brothers here. But this is if a brother likes the back stuff, it's the same attitude I have towards makeup. If you like makeup, we can buy it and you wear it. I'll admire it. It's not a problem. You can wear it because you are the one who likes it. Me, my skin is taking a break. It's not breathing. So if you like it, we will help you to wear it. I might even put it on for you. In the same way, if you like the back stuff, I will help you deliver the back. Just not my back because it's not my taste. You understand? So you come to the table and you tell me, hey, Amma, I like back stuff. And I'm like, sure. Let's go to the store. And let's fix you some back. I can imagine me helping you with the back stuff, you know, considering I'm a loving spouse and I want to help you. I will help you.
Yes.
But to assume that your back stuff is involving my back stuff is problematic because it's not. It's not involving. And I think these things are stuff that we don't discuss. Oh, yes, I can deliver. I can deliver for you, Tolu. I love helping people with what their needs are. So if a person needs back delivery, I can engineer. I can definitely reverse engineer. But, you know, these things we joke about, but they are things that a lot of people don't discuss. They hide them. And then they spring it on you last minute. And then what is actually crazy is that a lot of them also use religion to try and enforce it on people. I'm like, hey? What?
Yeah, I can imagine.
Which religion says that you hide and lie to me? That was in the 10 Commandments, but you didn't read it. But now you are making the 11th commandment, which is not even there.
That we shouldn't deny each other our bodies and stuff like that.
Exactly. Yeah, they use that script. As defense.
And that your husband is the what they call it? They say the husband is the head of your body, or the husband is something like that. So it's like
the owner of your body, and we don't own our bodies.
And the opposite is vice versa. You know, the husband owns the wife's body, and the wife owns the other. Yes, you know. So they use that a lot. Yeah, I would assume they use that.
Yeah,
very nice.
In a different context.
When the Lord was asking you to own my body, He also left my brain here for me to think. We are thinking, honey. The brain is still here in my body. You are not compromising anything. But you know what's actually crazy? The women who have foolishly gone along with some of these things, when they have eventually suffered the brutalities physically, these same men also turn around and say that you stink. You are leaking. You are this. who are that, and they go off to find fresh victims. And that's why I say to the sisters, your brain remains in your head for a reason. The Lord says that you found a leader, but a leader should be leading you in wise ways. And if he's not, you are supposed to use your brain to protect. These things are touchy for a lot of people because our communities don't encourage the conversation. But I've been making noise about it a lot. You should never be going into a marriage with somebody unless you have asked a lot of these pertinent questions.
Yeah.
You know, you need to
know.
There's
somebody for everybody, yeah?
Oh, so yeah.
There's somebody for everybody. So I might not be the right fit for you. You have to go and find the right fit, but don't deceive me into or coerce me into doing something that is not, you know.
It isn't that where the danger is, where somebody deceives you. And the last 2 weeks or so, I've dealt with a situation where somebody found out that her husband was somebody's wife.
Wait, say that again. The husband was someone else's wife. I mean, you didn't miss that of did you?
So these are the conversations I want to put on the table. I wanted to come mix it before I run away and let you have your decent conversation. But yeah, it turns out. Yeah, Nancy died. I can see she died right there. Listen.
Your husband is somebody else's wife.
Listen, actually, it's her boyfriend, because the guy says he didn't believe in marriage, but this guy is actually legally somebody's same-sex wife. And the guy he's married to had children with a woman before. Yeah, your face is just adorable, Nancy. This guy was married before. And so he had children, and he met this younger guy and married him. Sometimes I don't even know. I think I should say married Shim. But, you know, when, after he married Shim, Shim also decided that he likes the idea of some children and procreation. So his husband agreed for him to find a woman. And the whole idea was that he will tell this woman he doesn't believe in marriage because, you know, he can't actually marry her, right? He's leading. And they would have 2 children, like the other guy already has 2 children. And then after the children, they would take custody and force the children away from this woman. And, you know, the other guy is a bit older. He's quite professional. He has money. And he intended to use that as a force to take the children off the woman and bring the children to their home so they could raise their children, whatnot. For this girl, somebody else got sick and tired of it and spewed and told her because she's just had a second baby. And this person knows what the plan is all along and just pulled her to one side and said, hey, this is the game. So the guy says he didn't believe in marriage. There should be a common law arrangement, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, her husband is literally somebody's wife. So I asked her, did you have these conversations about, I mean, these days we've come to the bottom line. Hello, you look like a man, but are you really a man?
Yeah.
I can see the equipment, but let's talk about the preferences. Which of the songs do you sing, front and back, or back and front, or just back or front? Please sing your song. Let me know. See, we've come to that point where everybody needs to be asking these questions quite openly.
It's gotten more complex now.
Oh, we are going into a lot of these relationships with assumptions, but you can't assume. You see Nancy like this, and you think Nancy is a woman. You may check the equipment, it might be a woman, but these days, hey,
you can never know.
You doesn't know.
Yeah.
You can't.
So you want to check. You certainly want to ask. And so that's why I jumped in. There is no engineering jack. Ask him. Look him in the eye. Let him answer you. Hey, Tola, you look like a man, but are you really one? Let's have a look and see. Even if you are really one, let's check and see the other dimensions because, you know, hey, there are many dimensions these days. Yeah. So I thought I'd come cause trouble and then say hello to all of you. I am loving the conversation.
Hello.
Great job.
For me, I'm worried about the generation that is coming up. I'm really, really worried about that. I can imagine those two men who are trying to, okay, this one already has kids, and this one is trying to have kids with this woman, then snatch the kids away from this woman and try to bundle them together with these other kids. And so
Wow.
what are you even showing these kids? What are you teaching these kids? Like, okay, you had is this a family? What is a family anyway? You were here with your mother, and now, no, that is not a family. This is the true family here with the two guys. I mean, oh God, help the kids that are
It's
coming
getting
up.
Yeah,
like it's
honestly,
getting
it's
weirder and weirder.
yeah. By the day, exactly. So even at the end of the day, even sometimes, it's because now this topic now could it probably wouldn't even make sense to some people because
Yeah,
everything is twisted.
yeah, mhm,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. And we don't even know which direction we are going. I mean, I sometimes see pictures on social media of women who have transitioned into men and they look like real men. And I see pictures of men who have transitioned into women. And some of them look more feminine than most women.
Oh yeah.
They look very
Oh yeah.
soft and
Very much.
yes, they end up with
Very
all the
much.
curves and everything. So at this point, and unless I don't know how, if you meet somebody, even if you check and all the equipment or tools they have is the right one, it could be that biologically they're not who they say they are still, because you can never tell nowadays. The science have advanced and really advanced to the point whereby, like Betty said, I worry for the next generation, for our kids and things like that.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be a whole lot of drama.
But I think the responsibility still lies with us.
Yep.
We may not be able to, we don't have control of tomorrow and the society that is coming up, but at least we have some control over the children that we are raising now. And, if you're a believer in God or whatever, religion, try to instill those beliefs in them so that they know what is acceptable, what is within the word of God, and what is not. So that, they're going to come across all these kinds of weirdos out here.
Yeah.
They're not confused. They know exactly what is the right thing. Should they choose to, intermingle and interact and switch to something, at least there'll be something at the back of their mind, like, okay, this is what my parents instilled on me. This is the word of God. It says, at least that's what I believe I should do.
Yeah.
Because the society that is going to come up is a complete mess. Let's just be real.
It is. Honestly, there are lots of conversations that need to be had. Honestly, this is just like a drop in the ocean, really. A lot of conversations need to be had.
Yeah.
Again, like you said, with our kids. And honestly, sometimes it's like tomorrow is like sometimes it feels like it's bleak. Honestly, with these things that we're talking about now, and there's just so much that we can. And the truth is, there's just so much that we can do ourselves as parents, as human beings. Or we can
the little that you can do.
We can try our best, and then I think at the end of the day, just leave everything else to God. Quite frankly, because that will have to be another topic for another day for sure. Honestly.
Yes, I agree with Tolu. Making the change one step at a time. All you have in control is that which is within your household. And if you can at least try to change or work on that, then, one impacts another and another and another. So, the whole society may be rotten, but at least, there could be a few. Okay, and they can bump into each other out there, hopefully, have homes and also raise some decent human beings. Not to say that these other people are not decent, they're not good, but if you're a Christian and a believer in God, which I am, some of those situations don't appeal to me at all, and I definitely would not want any of my kids to be involved with that. We have work to do.
We do. Honestly, I see our parents were so lucky. Really. Do you know that?
Yeah.
I think they were
very easy and straightforward.
Yeah, there was far less complication. I mean, of course, aside from the fact that they had to work, provide, discipline. But now, you have to think about the external forces. Man,
And there's
honestly,
too many of them.
Yeah.
too many.
Yeah.
If not outside physically, it's on screen, it's on media, it's on this. Honestly, they had it easy. But we'll survive.
We
And so
will.
would our kids.
We will.
So would our
So,
kids.
what are we wrapping up saying? We are saying these conversations need to be held.
Yeah, constantly. Yep.
Okay, you can check the equipment, but that's not enough.
It
You know,
isn't.
you have to get to really know the person. I mean, surprises are always there. People get surprised, even the ones that you think like you've exhausted the conversations and you think that you really, really know these persons. People change, people evolve, and they come up, they talk with other people, they see things somewhere and they're like, oh, this is a good idea. I'm like,
Yeah.
no, I don't think so.
Yep, exactly. Yep.
You have those
Sadly not.
conversations again. This is our boundary. And if it's not within these boundaries, then yeah, so it was nice having these conversations here with you.
Absolutely. It was an absolute pleasure.
And Amma for joining us briefly and causing trouble.
Yeah,
and
that was
walking
nice.
away as
And
usual.
yeah, she lived up to her name in full.
Yeah, so
Yeah, so
All right, Lee.
from my side, to wrap up, like I said in the beginning, this is a conversation that needs to be had like all the time in different stages throughout the marriage. As the needs and expectation changes, we have to talk about that, because bringing in this conversation about people, man, woman, woman, man, and all of that, we know that sometimes, you can be married to a complete heterosexual person, and later the person is like, I want a different life, you never know. So these are just conversations that needs to be had over and over and over again, as and when expectations and needs changes.
Yeah. I agree with all your conclusions.
Between the couples and also with the children, as long as they're within the limits of kids, that you can have conversation, because these are the same kids that they interact with when they go to school.
Yeah.
I've actually seen some cartoons these days. I know we were wrapping up. Sorry, cartoons these days. They show cartoons with same-sex marriages, and so we have kids that are going to school with from these marriages with our kids, so they're bringing the ideas from those families and they're sharing with our kids and talking about this and that. And so that's what I'm saying, like, as parents, we have to instill what is right to them first. So even if they go to hear these secondary things, they already know, okay, this is the way to go.
Yeah. It must be said, and it must be vocal, and it must be loud, and it must be constant.
Yep.
Absolutely. It was great to be here again. So
it was great to see you guys again.
Absolutely. Likewise. I hope we can do this as often as as possible.
I hope so too.
Yeah.
We shall.
Enjoy your Sunday. Mine is literally at the end of it. I'm at the end of it. So it's Monday tomorrow.
Okay.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Have a good night. Bye.